Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Brad Killgore with America's Best Shops with my friend Laura Sutherly. Always a pleasure to see you, Laura. How are you today?
Fantastic. I'm enjoying the nicer weather. So we know spring is getting closer.
Yeah, it seems like spring may be coming, but I have a feeling we'll get plenty of winter where I'm at. It's not over yet. It's
Okay.
going to be almost 90 degrees in Southern California today, though. So you never know. You never know. So this week we're gonna have a little bit of a jam session like usual, and we're gonna cover some really cool stuff and some practical things. When it comes to AI and marketing your shop, your business online, and how it all ties together. This week alone, it's Friday here. There's so many new things coming down the pike with AI tools. There's the new Nano Banana 2.0 and Gemini 3.1 and new stuff with ChatGPT and Copilot. I mean, it's relentless, but it's also an exciting time. I looked at some things just on the Gemini side last night with my team, and what I'm finding is a lot of the tools that are coming out become more efficient and simpler to operate. Where literally you're just and you just either typing or talking. I use a lot of the talk tools. I don't really like
Hmm.
to type, and I'm not very good at it. Uh, but literally, I can just talk to the software, to the tool, and tell it what I want it to do. I don't have to be a coder. I don't have to be a tech genius. And it puts together some things that can simplify business. So it's an exciting time to be alive. But on the flip side, like anything, you need to be cautious with any sort of tool on the internet in general. We all know we've been around the internet long enough that we're all aware that even if we 100% trust Google or Facebook or all these other ones that they're not listening, they're not spying on us, they're not using our data. Well, I'm here to tell you that's probably not really true. So when it comes to the AI tools, whichever ones you use, ChatGPT, probably the most common one, then Google Gemini, Copilot, if you're on a Microsoft system, you think about it, and if you just run randomly and you don't check at least, maybe you can hide some of the information, some of the data that maybe they're using to train their models. So be sure and check in the settings, what exactly is being shared first and foremost. So there's some safeguards that you can do to kind of protect some of your information, but still don't be foolish with what you're putting in there. Don't be putting personal information necessarily. Be more vague a lot of times. Obviously, don't put your personal financial information in there, medical information. I mean, there's a fine line. There's a fine line. What do you think of all that?
I agree. I think that we forget because we're used to having our own systems, whether it be our laptops, whether it be our phones, and we feel like it's just a one on one conversation. And we forget that all that's being collected. And if we just quickly accepted terms when we signed up for any of these AI tools, one, they change. So we need to make sure that if something's been emailed us. And two, we may have our settings set differently than we think they're set. So I recommend, I know you recommend to review those settings. Basically, I would review it every 90 days if you get the opportunity and they move. I know ChatGPT, it was in the upper right hand corner. Now it's in the lower left hand corner. They add some different security settings off and on. And again, if you don't understand what it's asking you, ask the system to explain because you want to make sure your settings best fit your needs. And you may also be surprised, or some of your listeners and viewers might be surprised that if they're on a free plan versus a paid plan, those settings offer different values. So you do also we recommend a paid plan. I think that's some of the best money you can spend. And so that you have those higher security measures.
That's exactly right. That one comes to mind for me often. I think all of us in business don't necessarily want another subscription, but at the same time, you get what you pay for. If you're on the lowest level free tier, more than likely they're going to be extracting more data um, and borrowing your information, so to speak. Mm, we do a lot with Google. So on the business side, obviously we use Google Workspace. So we have paid plans. That's where all of our email lives and all of our sheets and our docs and our drive. And So there, to me, especially, I mean, since it is a paid plan, there are higher levels of security. And again, there are still settings that you can adjust to help mitigate some of the things they may be using for training, as they call it. And then on the personal side of Google, I also have a paid plan. Again, about $20 a month. I think that the workspace accounts are cheaper than that on the business side. But even at $20 a month, there's a lot of tools in there that you can experiment with. They're always putting in new things. But on the personal side, again, $20 a month to me is worth it to have the extra layers of protection, to have higher limits of what you can use or create, whether that's with Notebook LM or AI Studio. I mean, there's so many different features in there. But yeah, the paid plan I would recommend. You know, if you don't, if you're just using free, be cautious with it. Essentially.
Yes. And I would extend that for small business owners when, they're listening to consider what their employees are using
Oh yeah,
because the system might be paid, but if you're asking an employee or some of your other team members to do your social media or blog writing or whatever that might be as they are getting more and more familiar as to what they can do beyond that, ask and confirm that they are in a paid environment too, because the last thing you want is for them to be putting up information that client information, some information that you prefer not to be put up. Have that conversation with them so they know what should and should not go online. And I know that we'll be touching on, I believe, some of the AI policy, but keep in mind if they're using a free account, that may open up some information that you did not know was going online.
that's right. Well, the other thing that I think is important is if you're not using AI yet, I think it's worthwhile to jump in and start experimenting, start trying things out. Run some of these things with your team if you have one, and start comparing notes, looking at different ways you can utilize AI systems and strategies and automation and that type of thing to save time, to save money. Lots of different things that are happening, and there's lots more advanced things that are happening. So obviously, if you need help, reach out to someone like myself or Laura. But the basic stuff, try it out, utilize it, get your safety protocols in place, and that type of thing, and then test it out. But in the testing and in the use of it, be sure to double check your work. We've talked about human in the loop before. I think that it's important that just because you had to create something, let's just use written content, for example, for your website or your blog on your website, whatever it is, be sure and review it, proofread it. It would just be like having somebody that worked for you. Same scenario. If they put together something, you're still going to proofread it. You're still going to take the time to make sure that the information is correct. And I always say this too: when you are using an AI tool, it's getting easier and easier to create good things without being a prompt engineer, so to speak, and knowing how to really put in fancy prompts to get the best output. But think about it this way too. You can put things in the prompt like do not use case studies. Don't talk about XYZ. Don't mention pricing. Don't mention this location. Don't mention any competitors. I mean, these are things that you can put into the general prompt of what you're trying to do. And again, once it's done that, you can go through it and go, okay, perfect. I'm going to maybe save that prompt, even if it's super, super um, prehistoric basic, save that prompt for next time. Then if nothing else, you can take that prompt even into ChatGPT and say, this is what I'm trying to convey. Can you write a better prompt for me? Utilize the tool, because if you think about it, it's just an extension. It's just an assistant, just a tool that you can have a conversation with, you can go back and forth with, that type of thing. What's your take on that, Laura, as far as prompting and improving prompts and some of that?
Well, I like where you went with that. If you find something that works, I mean, to your point, the systems, and then as we go deeper on other episodes, we'll talk about agents and some of that's already pre built in. So, again, if you think of somebody that might be new to your organization, if you found a way to explain something to them and they grabbed it, that would be kind of what to consider that great prompt. I would recommend, and I know you would too, to do a training or have a way that you can convey that to the rest of your team so that they're not starting at ground zero all the time. So if they're starting at the starting line, if you're able to do a training with your team and have that discussion because some of the other members may have great prompts or great examples or even some custom GPTs or some skills that they've compiled that really gets the job done faster. If you're doing that training amongst everybody, then that just helps the whole team learn. So again, we don't want to keep these things to ourselves. We want to make sure the whole organization, your business, knows about what is working well with the task at hand.
Yes, absolutely. Another thing that came to me this week was, we talk to different shop owners in different capacities. Sometimes they may know who we are, or maybe we just communicated with them online in one way or another. And so, one thing that I just want to remind any business owner is be open minded. Sometimes people say, well, you know what? I'm using Copilot and that works great and I'm happy. So I don't know that you could possibly have anything more to help me than what I'm doing now. Well, maybe what they have is amazing. Maybe it's solving what they're trying to do. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. But the bottom line is right now, I think that the Copilot is improving. I don't look at it that often because it's not a tool that I use, but there are so many other things out there and so many other systems now that are being put together integrating AI tools because it's not just simple anymore because anybody can
Mm-mm.
just go to ChatGPT or Gemini, but it's becoming so much more advanced of what things can actually do to help you. So I always just say keep an open mind, listen to what other people have to say because you just never know. I mean, just in today, Laura and I were on a previous call with some associates of ours, and some of the things that they're creating and doing with AI are insane,
Mhm.
like, wow, that is really powerful. Am I going to go in there and figure that out today? Probably not. Some of it can be pretty techy,
Mhm.
but it's the matter of if it's going to help you, even if you're not technical, because I have a certain level of tech skills myself, but there's always a lot of people above me. But I also know a lot of very successful business owners, shop owners that are very, very, very good at what they do. But when it comes to technology, they don't get it. They're probably never going to get it. So that's when you bring in somebody that is more knowledgeable that can set these things up for you. It's like on the old 2.5 Men episode. Why didn't you just call the guy? Why did you climb on the roof yourself and break your neck?
That's very true. Yes, there's one book that, we refer to often as the who, not how,
Yeah,
and yes, as much as we would want to know how all the time, sometimes it's easier to call the who and have that person get you to where you need faster because again, especially in the automotive industry, yes, I have changed my oil before, but do I care to do it all the time? No, so I'm gonna go and find my who. And to your point of different tools, it's gonna be like Ford versus Dodge versus Kia. There's different people like different brands, different cars for different reasons, different trucks, whatever it might be. Think of that with AI. If you have a strong foundation, it will not matter which vehicle you get in and drive. What's going to matter is you know how to get from point A to point B. So, yes, although we were listening to amazing that podcast was amazing when it went deep for people that are already in it and they want a stronger thing. But don't let what we're talking about, we're trying to give you today, again, the foundation, but the encouragement to get started. So start simple. The other stuff will come fast. I mean, think about the first time you drove that car. You start it simple. And the first time that you might have repaired one, you start it simple. You didn't take the whole engine apart and went, ooh, not sure where to start here. And I know, Brad, you recommend a lot. Go to YouTube. And if there's a particular subject you're interested in, such as putting an AI policy in place or those guardrails that we talked about, look to see on YouTube for specifics that would help your shop.
exactly right. Yeah, be a student, and listen to encouragement. Be a student, learn new things. Go to YouTube. We talked about it recently with the Gemini that's in your Chrome browser now. You're on something, you're looking at something. Let's say you're looking at ChatGPT. You can still use the Gemini tool to say, I'm stuck. What do I do now? And it's right there and it will help you. So utilize the things around you, people, the who, the how, the what, all those things. With that, I think we covered some good stuff. Some of it can be a little daunting, but that's part of life. Jump in with both feet, reach out if you need help, Yeah, I think we'll wrap with that. Do you have anything else to add, Laura?
I do not. I think you covered wonderful information that business owners will be able to do today. And I
That's
think that comes down to the most important point is taking action.
That's right. Take action today. Again, Brad Kilgore here with America's Best Shops. Great seeing you, Laura. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.